If you had just 5 minutes with your 30-year-old self, what is the one financial lesson you would want to talk to them about? That's exactly what many older Americans were asked, and their answers revealed a pattern that is impossible to ignore. Today, we're going to look at those regrets and, more importantly, the lessons that could save you thousands of dollars and years of financial stress. Different people, different careers, different outcomes, different savings. Yet, many shared the same regrets we're going to talk about. Some people regretted retiring too early. Others cashed out their retirement savings at the worst possible time. Many thought Social Security would be enough, but discovered it wasn't. And one mistake showed up again and again in almost all the answers from these elderly people.
Okay. Are you ready now?
Yep.
Dear younger self,
Open up a Roth IRA and learn how to invest.
Don't pile up debt.
I would tell myself to hold on to my investment portfolio.
Save more and give less.
Your home is one of your biggest assets. Protect it.
And what was the biggest regret all these seniors answered? The regret was they waited too long to start saving. Most seniors thought they had plenty of time. They never thought about saving. They never thought 30, 40, 50 years when they were younger. So they never started saving. They were not educated enough to start saving. Nobody told them to start saving. And many did start saving. And the many who did save are finding out now in 2026 that the savings was not enough due to the inflation, the tariff, the cost of goods, and things have gotten very expensive. So a lot of the seniors are regretting that one, they did not save, and number two, they did not start saving at the get-go. Now one might wonder, why should they start early? And mathematically speaking, the reason you want to start early to save is of the word called compound interest. Yes, if you start early in your 20s, in your 30s, and start saving and earn interest 5%, 6%, 7%. In stocks, you could earn 12 to 14%. And just by putting $100 a month, $200 a month, or a ransom $5,000 a year or $10,000 a year, and you gain interest on that 7%, 8% per year, you could end up with hundreds of thousands of dollars from just the 1 year of savings. Imagine if you saved every year, putting away $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 for the first 10 to 15 years of your work life. You would have had close to $500,000 today. So the power of compounding is very powerful, and that's one reason why the best way to save for your retirement is to start as early as possible. The other ways to save, and many retirees back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s did not start doing that, but now a lot of the people who are working and thinking about retirement are doing it. They are opening IRA accounts, they are opening Roth accounts, they're opening 401ks, they're saving 3% from their paychecks and having the company add another 3% or 4% for whatever they put in. The company matches that. So if you're putting 3% from your paycheck every 2 weeks and the company adds 3% from that, now the compound interest is accelerating even more, and your savings will be much larger when you're 20, 30 years, 40 years from now when you retire. So the power of compounding is very powerful, and that's one regret most seniors felt, is they did not start early or they did not start at all. According to Courtney Gibson, the clock is ticking on America's retirement crisis. And she further says that 45% of Americans are not saving enough for retirement, and the clock is ticking.
But you better make sure you've got your savings right. You better make sure you're contributing to your retirement plan. And if your company is matching, do not leave that money on the table. Scratch, claw, whatever. You put up 3% and that company's going to match it. Guess what? You've now got 6%. We can all do that math. But how do you make sure that you're making the right choices today to set yourself up in the future for success? Because, you think a lot about, whether it's young people, even people that aren't as young, that don't really have a good grasp on how long they're going to live.
By the way, I'm Mike Patel. I've been in real estate sales and service business for over 30 years, and I get to talk to homeowners and home buyers, especially seniors, on a daily basis, and I wanted to share these videos with you. So thanks for watching. Let's go to regret number 2, and this affects even the seniors that saved. And the regret number 2 is that a lot of seniors rely entirely on their Social Security checks, and that's a big no-no because these Social Security checks are not big enough. In 2026, the average check is about $20-25 per month, which is really a good check. But if you look in terms of comparison, like the average rent in USA is about $1,600 a month. The average mortgage payment, not counting property tax and insurance, is about $2,000 a month. So if your Social Security check is $2,000, and if you're renting or if you have a mortgage payment payment, or if your mortgage is paid off but you still have property tax and insurance and maintenance, you really can't cut it. So the way to help yourselves in retirement is to have Social Security checks. That's great to have that check, but one must have pensions or had savings in their Roth IRAs or 401ks or some other form of income, passive income. Maybe you have a part-time job or a part-time business or an online business, etc. So that helps you with that 2,000 average check. So if you can increase your income to 3,000, 4,000, 10,000, depending on where you are and what your status is, that'll make your retirement a lot easier than relying on Social Security checks. And as I mentioned earlier, a lot of retirees rely on Social Security checks, and that's why we have a retirement crisis right now. Everything is unaffordable for the retirees on average in 2026. So you can see it is not enough whether you are a senior or not, and most likely senior average Social Security will be much lower because they started their Social Security way earlier. And most retirees underestimate how much retirement would cost. Inflation changed everything. Insurance premiums continue to rise. Property taxes continue to rise. Healthcare costs are exploding. So your monthly budget expenses and your monthly income for a lot of seniors are not matching, or they're barely matching. So either they're living paycheck to paycheck or even in deficit these days. One good thing is a lot of these seniors have owned their homes for the last 20, 30, 40 years. And as you know, the real estate prices have skyrocketed. So they have a lot of equity. If you count their net worth, they have a lot of high net worth. They have a lot of equity. But the issue is they don't have liquid cash. So when they have expenses, when they have property taxes or maintenance or healthcare costs, they just don't have the money, but they have a lot of equity. Most retirees today are cash poor, but house rich. They have a lot of equity, but it's useless unless you refinance or sell your home. But that's a whole new other issue to deal with. Let's talk about regret number 3 that they mentioned. This is a regret that nobody planned for, nobody could account for, and those are healthcare costs. We all know the healthcare costs have skyrocketed, and they skyrocket every year. The insurance premiums, the healthcare cost, the hospital costs, the long-term living care, prescriptions, everything is way too expensive. So when you have a fixed income, a Social Security check, maybe your pension fund, maybe some money from your 401ks, and here comes higher property taxes, higher insurance, and skyrocketing healthcare costs, that just throws you off the curve. So the retirees who are having a hard time staying afloat month to month, and when a major health issue occurs, an emergency happens to a spouse or to some family members or to brothers or sisters, and they have these costs, it throws them off the loop, and that makes their life even more unaffordable. So now you have healthcare costs, and if one is not able to pay, many seniors and many regular patients are charging their bills on credit cards. When you charge it on credit cards, now you are paying 20-30% on your interest fees. So that increases your expenses where you are tight anyways. So it's a vicious cycle. So it's better to stay healthy, and we'll talk about that later on. Many homeowners spend decades paying off their house, work hard, spend less, cut on vacations or fun times to find out that the costs keep rising. Inflation keeps rising. Property tax, insurance, healthcare costs never stop. Then when it comes to retirement, they find out that a lot of their expenses are going towards their healthcare cost that they did not account for. The biggest threat to your retirement plan isn't the economy or a market crash, it's your health. How to prepare for this clear wild card anyway. It's no wonder that high health related costs have become a top concern when it comes to retirement planning. According to the LIMRA paper, rising insurance premiums and out-of-pocket costs have meant that healthcare spending per capita has nearly doubled since 1987. Still, healthcare spending can take a huge toll on retirement savings. Fidelity Investments estimates that a 65-year-old who retired in 2025 could spend $172,500 on healthcare in retirement on out-of-pocket expenses, prescriptions, co-payments, deductibles, and Medicare premiums. And that estimate does not include long-term care costs. And for women, the cost is projected to be close to $313,000. So when you have all these costs accumulating and pounding on you, one may end up borrowing on credit cards or getting personal loans or mortgages. And that's the fourth regret these seniors were talking about, is that the debt follows you, and the debt did not disappear. Many retirees or seniors may have their house paid off, but they may have other debts like car loans or second loans on their house because they wanted to remodel, or they had to take care of healthcare costs, or they had to use money for their kids' wedding or kids' college, or helping kids settle down in their own house. So they still accumulate debt, and that debt keeps coming on. So one, you have fixed income, and as you retire, you still have your debts following you all the time. Many still have mortgage payments. They have home repairs. They have rising insurance costs. They have rising property taxes. Many have homeowners association, and that is skyrocketing as well. And one of the things along with healthcare costs is because they have lived in this house for so long and the house is getting older, maybe it's 30 years old, 40 years old, 100 years old, it now needs a lot of maintenance. And as you know, the maintenance is very expensive. The maintenance cost, the labor cost, cost of goods, everything is expensive. So if you don't have the money up front, then end up charging or getting a personal loan, and that adds to your debt that you already may have.
We're going to go now to a new report showing U.S. household debt reaching an all-time high in the first 3 months of this year as inflation continues to rise. Elizabeth Schulze is in Washington with the details for us. Good morning, Elizabeth.
Good morning, Michael. And as inflation spikes, mortgage rates actually just hit their highest level since March. The average rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage now 6.6%. That is up from just below 6% at the end of February before the start of the Iran war. And that translates to an extra $126 a month on a payment for a $400,000 home loan. These higher borrowing costs for everything from mortgages to credit cards are a key reason why American households are now in more debt than ever before. A report from the New York Fed shows that overall household debt hit $18.8 trillion in the first 3 months of the year. That includes $13.2 trillion in mortgage balances, about $1.7 trillion in auto and student loans, and $1.3 trillion in credit card debt. Now, this isn't all bad.
Here is another chart. If you look at 2004, the housing debt in 2004 was about $6 trillion. But in 2026, that debt has gone up to almost $13 trillion. The non-housing debt in 2004 was about $8 trillion. And in about 22 years, it has gone up to almost $19 trillion. So as you can see, the debt is getting higher and higher. And not only retires, but in general, the American consumers cannot shake off this debt. We have a long way to go. So after they talked about debts and high debts, there came another surprise. And the surprise was that they regretted retiring too early. Many retirees did not know what retirement was like, did not save up, did not have a monthly budget, did not have a plan to retire, did not know how much it's going to cost them every month. If they were retiring, they did not know or may not have known that the rents keeps rising, the mortgage payments keeps rising. Maybe your house is paid off, but you still have property taxes, you still have insurance, you still have maintenance. So all these things kept going up and up and up. And a lot of people did not factor that in. And for those that retired early with minimum savings, now are regretting it. Some were laid off, and after 50, 60 years old, they could not find jobs. Some had to be laid off. Some had to stop working because of health issues or spouse's health issues or family issues. So when they retire early, guess what happens? Your pot that was growing for retirement is now stops all of a sudden. So when you retire, or one of you, if you're married, stops working, not only does your income stop, but your growth for your retirement income also drops. So it's a double whammy. So a lot of people who retired early without planning, without thinking, without setting goals, without budgeting, have huge regrets today because there's no way to recover. Remember the power of compounding. If you did not save for the last 10 years, or if you saved for the last 10 years and you made 8% every year, then you would have a lot more money today. But when you retire, your income stops and you start cutting into your savings account, you start relying on Social Security, and that makes life even more unaffordable, makes the life challenging, makes the life difficult and not very pleasant. A lot of people retired early to have a vacation, to relax, to rest their body, to have peace of mind. But once they retired, totally different things happened. In fact, a lot of the seniors also talked about what they experienced when they retired early and regretted it. They experienced loneliness, they experienced boredom, loss of purpose, they had fewer friends, they had anxiety over their savings, they had anxiety over their future expenses. Their health deteriorated faster than expected. So there's a difference. A lot of retirees could retire because they wanted to. A lot of retirees unexpectedly had to retire. And some made a good decision to retire. Some made a bad decision to retire. Either way, the challenge is here.
In this morning's Money Watch, what does retirement look like in 2026? For a growing number of Americans, the answer is work.
Yes, please.
Nearly 1/5 of all adults 65 and older are currently working or looking. That's the highest in decades. Many say having a job isn't a choice, but a necessity. Kelly O'Grady shows us they face rising costs and a Social Security check that doesn't quite go far enough.
Sleeping in, relaxing, and seeing the world, what many of us aspire to in our golden years.
But for Mindy Freeman, who's almost 70 years old, she's out the door at 7:30 a.m. for her 2-hour commute to work.
I walk to a bus, and I take a bus to the Long Island Railroad and take that to Penn Station, and then I take the subway, and then I walk about 10 minutes to my office.
Mindy is an administrator at a medical office. She's also a widow.
It turns out that their biggest regret was not about money. Their biggest regret so far is that they did not start saving enough. If they started at 40 years old, they feel they should have started at 30 years old. If they started saving at 30 years old when they were working, they should have started from the first day they started work. So the biggest regret was not saving early enough or much sooner than they started. Here are the common regrets that they shared. One is that they did not start early. They should have stayed more. They should have stayed healthier. They should have learned to invest earlier while they were working, while they were young. And they wish they avoided debt. They never avoided debt. They kept charging and getting new cars, etc. As they say, life is a journey. No matter what or what situation you're in, make the best of where you are. And if you're in a certain situation and if you have 10, 20, 30 more years to go, you can start planning, start saving, start organizing for the rest of your retirement life. Life is a journey and we learn from it and enjoy what we can and when we can. And we must move forward.
The one thing I think both Steve and I did right was we made sure that we took care of our parents.
One thing I know I did right was staying connected with people.
My financial choices allowed me to raise and support my children while teaching them to be independent.
So unexpected changes make living in the moment a good skill to have, and I am always ready to shift gears when needed. What a great quote that is.
I am fortunate to own the land and live mortgage-free.
I take it one day at a time. I'm thankful I made it through the day and get up the next day and do it again.
My greatest accomplishment is having 3 beautiful daughters who are educated, caring, and productive members of society. That is worth more than all the money in the world.
Mostly we just want to get somewhere where at least there's community, where people seem to care for each other.
I can't waste time looking back at what might have been. My choices, good or bad, are my responsibility.
Somewhere along the way, I learned to approach life with curiosity instead of despair. And that's when everything became adventure instead of trepidation. That's when life got really good.
That is a profound statement when she said, "My choices, good or bad, are my responsibility."
With curiosity instead of despair. And that's when everything became adventure instead of trepidation. That's when life got really good. I hope you start earlier than I did. But first, open up that Roth IRA. Love your much older self, Nancy Seeger.
Every single story was different. Everyone had different challenges and different outcomes. Yet almost everyone reached the same conclusion. They simply wished they started saving earlier for their retirement. Life teaches us things to the last day. Whether you're young or you're old, you can learn every day. Let's talk about 5 things you can do today to enhance your retirement, to make your retirement life easier than it is right now, or make it better than what it is right now, even if you're enjoying it or you're not enjoying it. The first thing what they suggest is to increase your retirement contributions. Whether you retired now and you're getting a Social Security check, it's still good to put some away for emergency funds. The money you put away for emergency funds can help you with big repairs or unexpected life cost. And the contributions you make helps you earn more because now you're starting to compound, even if it's $100 a month. Rather than spending it, if you put it away, and if you're going to live another 20 years, that $100 in 20 years will grow to a lot of money, especially if you do it every month, month after month after month. The third thing they stress or they've learned is that you must protect your health, because the better your health, the less medical cost you will have. And if you're healthy and if you're energetic and if you feel like working just because of fun and want to earn extra, go work 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week, enjoy what you're doing, you can earn extra money by being healthy and by going out to work, etc. So being healthy is a big advantage. The fourth thing that they recommend is to reduce debt. And if you have debt, pay that debt first. I mentioned earlier to contribute $100 a month, $500 a month, whatever you can. But if you have debt, you should get rid of that debt, pay off that debt, and then try to reduce future debts. If you need to buy something, only buy if you need it. Don't borrow $20,000 just to remodel your home to make it look good because your neighbors did. Yes, if you have to remodel because you need a new bathroom or a new kitchen because it's dated, that's a different thing. But remodeling to keep up with the Joneses, and that costs you money, especially when you borrow, that's a no-no, because you want to reduce the debt and then pay off the debt that you have. Once you do that, you can start saving for emergencies and your future retirement. And the last one they talk about, and is the toughest thing to do, is to have a written retirement plan. In general, Americans don't have goals. They say that 95% of Americans don't have a written goal, let alone having a retirement plan or retirement goal. So if you sit down with somebody, some expert, some professionals, accountants, or retirement experts, they may show you what you can do for your next 10 years, next 15 years, next 20 years. Or if you're young, 20 years old, 30 years old, and watching this, you may start ahead and plan what's going to happen 30 years from now. I talked to my kids when they started the job. One advice I gave them is, as soon as you start job, the first paycheck you get, start saving 10% from every check thereafter. Hope they're doing it. So if they start doing that at 20-year-old, 25-year-old, imagine how much they will save up and have compound interest savings when they reach 60, 65, 70. They can accumulate a lot of money, but that all comes with one thing: retirement planning. I keep hearing the same financial regret from 60, 70, 80-year-olds over and over again since I talk to a lot of seniors every day, almost. I wish I had started saving earlier. It didn't matter if you earned a lot or earned a little. The key is, for your retirement, the earlier you start saving, the better off you are. Take advantage of the power of compounding. If you put $100 a month, the month you start working, let's say you're 25 years old, and you earn 6%, 7%, 8% every year until you're 60, and you put $100 every month, you will have a lot of money when you retire. You won't have to regret it. The key is doing it. What's one financial lesson you wish someone had told you when you were 30 years old? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please share and watch this video